Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Kevin Connors, and this is just a short video on why we look at somebody's genes. So, in a cancer patient, we definitely want to look at their genetics because you can see where there are specific possible drivers because of different gene defects, possible pieces of the cause because of defects. For instance, if a person has a lot of defects on their genes that are part of their detoxification pathway, that may be why they're less able to detox than someone who didn't have those defects. And if you can't get rid of the poisons that you're exposed to, well, they can cause problems, and one of them is cancer if it interrupts the replication cycle of a nucleus of a cell. So definitely we want to look at genes with a cancer patient. With cancer patients, we hear all the time about tumor suppressor genes and defects on the BRCA genes and the P53 genes and other tumor suppressor genes that are supposed to turn on killer cells, to turn on cell death programs so that if a cell starts to replicate quicker than normal, then the tumor suppressor genes are supposed to turn on and to stimulate apoptosis so that cancer is never diagnosed in that patient. And defects on those genes can increase one's risk of cancer because if something does get into the gene or into the cell and cause replication, and there's a lot of defects on the tumor suppressor genes, then you're going to be less apt to be able to mount that that initiated suppression of a growing cancer. So it does increase one's risk. There are other reasons why you'd want to look at genetics, lots of other reasons why you'd want to look at genetics. When we're looking at 700 to 900,000 different SNPs, which are different gene sequences where you could have defects, they could mean a lot of things. Now, I don't ever want someone to think that you are to treat the SNP defect, nor do I not ever want anybody to think that just because you have a defect, you're doomed for life. Most defects your body is able to deal with, and really most defects are not really affecting you very much at all. It's really the environment plus a variant that can end up causing some issues. So knowing where you have variants before you have issues can be extremely beneficial. Most of our cancer patients want their family members to also do a genetic workup with us. When they look at what we look at, they're like, oh my gosh, I got to get my kids and my husband or whatever to do this also. So it's very beneficial if you don't have cancer to look at your genetics. There's so much information out there about different gene defects that affect mood issues, ADD, hormonal issues, to Alzheimer's and other diseases as well. So looking at your genetics prior to getting any sort of disorder can be very beneficial because it can change your behavior, because there's pieces of your genes that you look at that can tell us maybe what the best diet is for someone, and some things that you want to balance to help with neurotransmitter function and hormone function. So when we look at a person's genes, you get a report back, something like this. Now, each one of these is a SNP defect. So this is a SNP defect. Now, we're looking at 700 to 900,000 SNP defects in a person. How could you possibly do that? It's impossible. That's why you have to have a computer program that's going to read these out. Now, these particular genes are not even ones that we look at too closely in our program. Let me show you what we do look at. So when we put genes together through our program, we're looking at really the most common several, maybe 10,000 gene SNPs is what we're really looking at. These particular gene SNPs, they'll be arranged in different families, like this is the ABP1 family, and this is the HNMT family of genes here. Now, these different families of genes that we're looking at, these particular ones have to do with histamine breakdown, making DAO enzyme in the gut, making DAO enzyme in the tissue, how you break down histamine in the tissue and in the gut. And in this particular person right here, they do have some issues with histamine breakdown, or they have some genetic presupposition that they're going to have a decreased ability to break down histamine in the tissue and in the gut. This gene right here is a very important gene for gut function and DAO enzyme creation. So staying away from histamine foods, using a histamine enzyme might be helpful for this person. They may be more prone to sensitivities, allergies, bug bites, things like that. So knowing that can help give you some rest about why I have these allergy conditions and my next door neighbor doesn't. What's the deal with that? There's a genetic piece to it. So knowing that can be extremely helpful. That we're looking at 50, 60 pages with, 5 to 10 of these families on it. So it gets pretty extensive. Our genetic reports usually last about an hour just to get started in going over them. If you're interested in having that done, make sure you go to our website. This is just a screenshot of our home page, actually, our gene page here. How you'd get to it is you go to connorsclinic.com. Under our cancer protocols, look at genes tell stories. And that might be the page that you're on watching this video right now. If you want to contact us, hit that contact button and then call the clinic and you could get some details on it. All right. Thank you very much.